In that forecast. Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we're tracking storms across places like New Mexico and even across the East Coast. Now, all of this thanks to a line of storms that's going to cause some flooding today, and then we've also got a line of storms that's going to cause some hail today as well. And I'm trying to get my clicker to work here, so let's get your headlines today. A slight risk for hail in New Mexico this afternoon. What we're watching for here is pocket change hail. I know hail is back in the forecast, but it's going to be on the smaller side this afternoon and evening. Jerry forms in the Atlantic. Yes, we have our next named storm. I think this is number 10 for this year so far. It's a tropical storm right now. However, hurricane is on the way. And we've got a big cool down for a good portion of the United States. Have you guys been outside and felt this nice fall-like weather? Finally, right? After a very, very warm start to October, we are finally feeling those cooler temperatures, but not for long. It will warm back up, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Alrighty, let's take a look at your last 24-hour storm reports. We have had a tornado report in southern Louisiana. We've also got some wind reports across the plains over the last 24 hours. But other than that, we are in a very quiet lull, quiet spot of the year. We haven't seen too much over the last 24 hours, maybe even a hail report out in New Mexico, and that's where we go for our next round for storms today as well. All right, let's take a look at what we see across the U.S. We've got a line of storms up the east side of the U.S. right now that's going to cause some flooding issues today. We've got just ongoing rain across Florida as well. And then we've got a line of storms that we're going to be watching for across New Mexico. Current temperatures much cooler today than what we saw this time yesterday. We're sitting in the 50s, 60s, and 70s with that crisp fall-like air out your door right now. If you enjoy fall, take advantage of today and tomorrow. After that, it's going to warm back up. Now let's take a look at what your hail forecast says today. Your significant hail model, they're highlighted there in yellow. What we're watching for here is anywhere between maybe dime to quarter size hail today. I know it's not terribly impressive. I just do not think that we're going to get that much larger than quarter size hail. I don't think that we're going to get ping pong ball size hail today. Let's outline where. Well, we're talking about Albuquerque, so Albuquerque could get hit with hail today. It's a low risk. Mainly what we're going to see is scattered showers and storms across this area and then to the east with more rainfall on the eastern side of New Mexico. I kept that in a category level 1 for today. Very similar for that wind risk as well, up to 65, maybe getting to 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds this afternoon from some of these showers and storms. Moving on to your timeline here. My clicker's being a little funky today. Moving on to your timeline, there's all of that rain that's out across the Midwest and then into the east. Okay, so we've got a lot of rain ongoing in this area. We're going to talk about the flooding issues in just a few minutes. And then there's your risk for storms later on today. Let's start with a national view here so you guys know how this works. We start nationwide. And then we zoom down to these individual regions to talk more about these hazards in each area. So we'll start with New Mexico for that hail and wind risk today. You're going to see more showers and storms going up by about 4, maybe 5 o'clock this evening. As I mentioned, it's going to be right along I-25 and then places to the east. So we've got that area that we've highlighted in yellow for hail. You're going to see a few isolated storms that may go severe, but for the most part, most of these will be non-severe. Again, hail and wind will be your biggest risks today. That tornado risk, not terribly impressive. Again, we've also got that flooding risk, not only in New Mexico for today, but also across the Midwest in places like Kentucky into Tennessee, and then even into places like the East Coast, like Pennsylvania. We're watching also for a flooding risk, not only today, but also tomorrow in New Mexico, highlighted there in green. So we've got some ongoing showers and storms in these areas. Not too much changing over the next 24 hours, except for a little bit of a warm up. We don't even have a risk on Wednesday, okay? This is kind of a day-by-day type of risk where we will see maybe a marginal risk Wednesday, maybe a marginal risk on Thursday. We're not fully into that fall severe weather season quite yet, but if you caught our forecast yesterday, you saw that our CEO, Derek Klein, had mentioned our fall severe weather season is on its way. Alrighty, let's talk about Jerry now. Tropical Storm Jerry is our newest named storm in the Atlantic. Tropical Storm Jerry right now is moving to the west at about 24 miles an hour. It's a little bit fast for this storm. We'd like it to slow down a little bit so it could take some time to organize itself. It will slow down as it gets closer and closer to the states, okay? We've got wind speeds at about 45 miles an hour, not too bad there, and then air pressure at 1,006. So we'd like to see that also drop below 1,000 millibars, and that will help to strengthen the storm as well, or signify strengthening of the storm. So we are expecting this storm to intensify, starting at a tropical storm now, but quickly becoming a hurricane in the next 24 to 36 hours. Category 1, but again, I talked to our CEO, Derek Klein, this morning, and he said that he expects this to go above Category 1 strength, even stronger as we head into the end of this work week. So Cat 1 is what the National Hurricane Center has. I think that he's right that we could absolutely see a stronger hurricane, especially as it gets into some of these warmer waters right now. A lot of these waters, we haven't used up this energy in this area. Temperatures are warm in this area from the lack of storms over this past season. So we'll have to keep an eye on this very, very closely. What we're going to see is some upper level movement coming off of the states, and that's going to help to keep Jerry out to sea, okay? So as this moves up to as it moves closer to the states, it will most likely stay out of our way, once again becoming our next fish storm, maybe impacting Bermuda with a lot of rain, but for the most part, I'm not too worried about a landfall from Jerry. Now, next on our list is Karen. After that, we've got Lorenzo, Melissa, and then we go down the list here, but I'm not quite sure we'll get too much past Melissa. Now, our average, we're at number 10 right now. An average season, we'd see about 14 named storms. About 7 of those to become hurricanes, and about half of that, 3 of those to become major hurricanes. Last year, we overperformed. We saw more activity last year than what we're seeing this year and what we would normally see for an average season. In your HailTrace forecast for this year, we are right on track. We said about 12 to 17 named storms, okay? So we're at 10 right now. 6 to 10 of those becoming hurricanes and 2 to 3 of those becoming major hurricanes. So I think that we're on the right track to have that forecast verify this year. But we still have a lot of time left in hurricane season. We still have about another month to see a decent amount of activity, and then by November we usually do not see any activity, very, very little activity, if any at all. So we've got a lot of time, maybe 3 more weeks left in an active hurricane season. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Again, Jerry is what we're watching right now, but if we take you back 365 days, this time last year, we had our eyes on Milton. Milton, at this point last year, was forecasted to become a Category 5, or well, it was forecasted to become a major hurricane. It ended up becoming a Category 5 hurricane in the Gulf, and then ended up weakening significantly before it made landfall in Florida just outside of Tampa. So this time last year, it was a very, very busy end of September and early October hurricane season. A lot quieter this year. And hey, we're enjoying the cooler weather across the states, so bringing you back on land now. Temperatures are a lot cooler across Denver, across New Mexico. We've got some cooler temperatures here in Oklahoma City as well. It's not going to last long. You're going to see an intrusion of warm air as we head into the later portion of this week. 10, 15 degrees above average. Yeah, your weekend plans are looking like t-shirt weather. More than anything, what are we talking about here? Your temperatures for tomorrow are warming back up to the 70s and 80s for most of us. Some lucky people will stay in the 60s like Bismarck and Minneapolis. But as we get into Thursday and Friday, as Jerry out in the Atlantic is becoming a hurricane, well, we're feeling like fall once again. We've got the 80s returning to Oklahoma, 70s and 80s returning to places like Kansas City, 78, maybe even 80 degrees in Kansas City by Friday, just a little bit above average for this time of the year, but it just gets warmer as we head into the weekend. Yeah, it's going to warm back up out there. I don't know, do you guys like the warm weather, or are you ready for fall? I go back and forth. And as always, if you have any weather questions, put those in the comments section. I can see that on the side of the screen over here. Amanda says, boo, take fall out. These are fall colors. Does that work? It's going to be warm. It's not going to feel like fall as we head into the rest of October. And Chip's saying, finally that time again. Yep, we are back at it. We're back at the forecast. I took a few days off at the very beginning of last week, but we are back at this very mundane forecast. I feel like I'm telling you guys the same thing every day. It's cooler today, warmer tomorrow. It'll be warm through the weekend. How long do we stay in this warm trend? From the 12th through the 16th, all the way through the middle of October, at least through the middle of October. Temperatures are likely to stay above average. We're talking 10, maybe 15 degrees above average for some of us. Now here's the good news. After a very, very dry start to October, it does look like we're going to see more rain move in here. I know some of us across the Midwest and East Coast are saying we don't need the rain, but others across the plains are really, really needing that rain and that moisture, and it does look like we're going to trend a little bit rainier as we head into the middle of this month. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Warm temperatures and moisture often mean that we could get more severe weather. So we'll have to keep an eye on that next round of severe weather for you. In the meantime, make sure that you follow us on all forms of social media. Yesterday, even though there was very little weather going on across the U.S., we talked all about the weather on our social media. We talked about that EF5 upgrade from that North Dakota tornado. We also talked about different tropical activities. We talked about the Wyoming hail that happened over the weekend. So we are always active on social media, even if there is no weather going on across the U.S. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com or head over to our website, HailTrace.com, for more weather information and updates on hail, wind, and tornado maps across the country. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. We'll see you back here for your forecast, same time,